Time management is a lie. You've been sold productivity hacks that don't work, apps that promise control, planners that gather dust, and you're still overwhelmed, still behind, still wondering where your day went. Here's what nobody tells you. You don't have a time problem. You have an energy problem. You're leaking focus, bleeding attention, scattering effort across things that don't matter. This is how you stop the leak. This is how you take your time back. Chapter 1. Stop treating all hours like they're equal. Not all hours are created equal. Your 9 a.m. brain is different from your 9 p.m. brain. Your Monday energy is different from your Friday energy, yet you treat them all the same, and that's killing your productivity. You schedule the hardest work for whenever it fits. You answer emails when your mind is sharpest. You save important thinking for late afternoon when you're already exhausted. This is backwards, and it's why you never feel like you're making real progress. Your brain runs on energy, not willpower, and energy fluctuates throughout the day in predictable patterns. There's a window, usually 2 to 4 hours after you wake up, when your mental clarity peaks. This is your biological advantage, your cognitive high tide. But most people waste it. They scroll, they check messages, they ease into the day with low-value tasks. By the time they sit down for deep work, the window has closed, the energy is gone, and they're trying to think clearly with a tired brain. Here's the shift. Identify your peak hours, not when you want them to be, when they actually are. Track your energy for 5 days. Note when you feel most alert, most creative, most able to focus without forcing it. Then build your day around protecting those hours. Not for email, not for meetings, not for easy tasks that any energy level could handle. For the work that actually moves your life forward. Think about an athlete. They don't train hardest when they're exhausted. They don't save their best effort for when their body is depleted. They train when they're fresh, when their muscles can respond, when their nervous system can learn. Your brain works the same way. It learns best when it's fresh. It creates best when it's rested. It solves problems most efficiently when it hasn't been drained by 6 hours of mental clutter. Most people operate under the assumption that discipline can overcome energy depletion, that if they just push harder, they can think clearly at any hour. But this is like expecting a car to run at full speed on an empty tank. The effort is there, the fuel isn't. High performers don't work harder during their peak hours. They work smarter by choosing to work during peak hours at all. They schedule thinking for when thinking is easiest. They schedule admin for when their brain naturally wants lighter tasks. This isn't about working more. It's about working with your biology instead of against it. About respecting the natural rhythms that govern your cognitive capacity. How many important tasks have you buried at the bottom of tired afternoons? Starting today, guard your peak hours like they're your most valuable possession, because they are. Schedule one high-impact task during your mental prime time. Nothing else. No meetings, no interruptions. Just you and the work that actually builds your future. Because when you stop treating all hours equally, you stop wasting your best thinking on your worst work, and your entire productivity equation changes. Chapter 2. Decide what doesn't happen before deciding what does. Most productivity advice tells you to plan your day, make a to-do list, prioritize tasks, but here's the problem. Your list grows faster than you can complete it. You add tasks faster than you finish them, and at the end of the day you're buried under undone work. The real skill isn't adding more to your day, it's removing what shouldn't be there in the first place. Deciding what doesn't happen, what you will not do, what you will not attempt. This is the power of the stop doing list. Not a nice to have, a necessity, because every yes you give creates a no to something else. Every task you accept pushes out something that might matter more. Most people live reactively. They say yes to requests because saying no feels uncomfortable. They accept meetings because declining feels rude. They take on projects because being helpful feels good, and slowly their days fill with other people's priorities while their own goals starve. Here's what changes everything. Before you plan what you'll do tomorrow, decide what you won't do, what meetings you'll skip, what requests you'll decline, what tasks you'll delete entirely instead of postponing. This isn't about being unhelpful. It's about being honest. You cannot serve everyone and still serve your own growth. You cannot be available for everything and still protect what matters most. Availability is not a virtue when it comes at the cost of your most important work. Think about successful people you admire. They're not doing more things than you. They're doing fewer things, but they're doing those things with full attention, full energy, full commitment, because they've ruthlessly eliminated everything that doesn't serve their core mission. Warren Buffett famously said that the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Not because they're selfish, because they understand opportunity cost. Every hour you give to something low value is an hour stolen from something high value. Every distraction you entertain is focus you can't give to what actually matters. Every commitment you make from guilt is energy diverted from commitment you made from purpose. Your stop doing list is where clarity begins. Write down everything you're currently doing, every recurring task, every responsibility, every commitment. Then ask, if I could only keep 5 of these, which 5 would create the most value? The rest, those are your candidates for elimination. Not someday, not eventually, now. This week, before you add one more thing to your plate, remove 3 things that shouldn't be there. Most people feel guilty about this. They worry about disappointing others. But here's the truth. When you say yes to everything, you dilute your effectiveness at everything. You become mediocre at many things instead of excellent at the few that matter. When was the last time you said no to something good so you could say yes to something great? Starting today, create your stop doing list. Write 5 things you will no longer do. Not reduce, not minimize. Stop completely. Then protect that decision like your future depends on it, because it does. Chapter 3. Batch your decisions to preserve mental energy. Every decision you make costs energy, even small ones. What to wear, what to eat, which email to answer first, what to work on next. By noon, you've made hundreds of micro decisions, and each one drains your mental battery a little more. This is called decision fatigue, and it's invisible until it's already destroyed your productivity. You sit down to do important work, and your brain feels foggy, slow, resistant. Not because you're tired physically, because you're exhausted mentally from deciding all day. Here's the pattern. You wake up with full decision-making capacity, then you spend it on things that don't matter. What to have for breakfast, which route to take, when to check your phone, what order to tackle tasks. By the time you reach the work that actually requires judgment, your capacity is depleted. Smart people don't make more decisions. They make fewer. They automate the unimportant so they can preserve energy for what actually requires thought. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day, not because he lacked options, because he understood that clothing decisions in the morning would steal energy from product decisions in the afternoon. Every choice eliminated is energy conserved. Decision batching is the solution. Instead of deciding what to eat every morning, decide once for the week. Instead of choosing your work order every day, create a standard template. Monday mornings are always for X. Tuesday afternoons are always for Y. When decisions are batched, your brain stops working so hard on the trivial. It stops asking what now every 30 minutes. It follows the system, and that following is effortless compared to constant choosing. Think about your morning routine. If it changes every day, you're starting the day by burning mental fuel before you've even started working. But if your morning is ritualized, If the same actions happen in the same order every day, your brain runs it on autopilot. Zero decisions required. This principle extends to everything. Batch your email responses. Don't decide when to check email throughout the day. Decide once, 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. only. Batch your calls. Same day, same time window each week. Batch your meal prep. One cooking session for multiple days. Each batch eliminates dozens of small decisions, and those dozens add up to preservation of your most valuable cognitive resource, the ability to think clearly when it matters. Most people resist this. They think batching makes life rigid, boring, mechanical, but the opposite is true. Batching the trivial creates freedom for the meaningful. When you're not constantly deciding what to do next, you can actually do what matters with full presence. Decision fatigue is why you procrastinate in the afternoon, why you choose easy tasks over hard ones, why you scroll instead of creating, not because you're weak, because your decision-making capacity has been spent on things that didn't deserve it. How many decisions are you making every day that could be eliminated through simple systems? Starting today, identify one area where you make repeated decisions. What you eat, when you work out, what you wear, how you start your day. Then batch those decisions, make them once, and build a system. Watch how much mental energy you recover when you stop spending it on what doesn't matter. Chapter 4. Protect your transition time or lose your focus. You finish a meeting. You immediately open your laptop to check email. 2 minutes later, you're on a different task. 5 minutes after that, another notification pulls you elsewhere. By lunch, you've touched 15 different things but completed none of them. This is context switching, and it's murdering your productivity. Your brain doesn't shift instantly between tasks. It needs transition time, time to close one mental file and open another. When you skip that transition, you carry residue from the previous task into the next one. That residue is called attention residue, and research shows it can last for over 20 minutes, which means if you jump between tasks every 10 minutes, you're never fully present for anything. You're always partially stuck in what you just left. Think about switching between languages. If you speak English and Spanish, you know there's a moment of mental adjustment when you switch. Your brain needs to change modes. Rush the switch and words from both languages collide. The same thing happens with tasks. When you go from creative work to analytical work to administrative work without pause, your brain is constantly adjusting, constantly recalibrating, and that constant shifting is exhausting. It creates the illusion of productivity while actually reducing your effectiveness at everything. Here's the shift. Build transition buffers. Not long, just 2 to 5 minutes between tasks. Time to close the previous work mentally. Time to prepare for what's next. Time to reset your focus instead of dragging old focus into new work. This might sound like wasted time. It's not. It's recovery time. It's the mental equivalent of stretching between sets at the gym. Skip it and you perform worse in the next set. Use it and you perform better. The best performers in any field understand this. Athletes don't go straight from warm-up to competition. Surgeons don't go straight from one operation to another. Musicians don't go straight from practice to performance. They transition. They prepare their mind for the shift. Your work is no different. If you're writing a report, then jumping into a client call, then immediately answering emails, you're asking your brain to be 3 different things with 0 preparation, and it can't. So it does all 3 poorly. Transition time isn't empty time, it's intentional time. During the buffer, you close tabs from the previous task, you stand up and move, you take 3 deep breaths, you write 1 sentence summarizing what you just completed. You write 1 sentence stating what comes next. These small actions signal closure to your brain. They allow attention residue to dissipate. They prepare your mental state for what's ahead. And when you begin the next task, you begin it fully, not half there while your brain is still processing what you just left. Most people skip transitions because they think speed equals productivity, but speed without focus is just motion. It looks like progress, it feels like hustle, but at the end of the day, nothing meaningful has been completed. Just a lot of started but unfinished fragments. How much of your mental fatigue comes from jumping between tasks without giving your brain time to shift? Starting today, build one transition buffer between your hardest tasks, just 3 minutes. Close your eyes, breathe, acknowledge what you finished, state what comes next, then begin. Notice how much clearer your thinking becomes when you give your brain permission to fully transition instead of forcing it to sprint without rest. Chapter 5. Track your energy, not just your time. You could work 12 hours and accomplish nothing, or work 3 hours and change your life. The difference isn't time, it's the energy you bring to that time, and most people have no idea where their energy actually goes. They track tasks, they track hours, they measure productivity in time spent, but they never measure the thing that actually determines whether that time was effective, their energy level during those hours. Energy is not constant. It spikes and crashes throughout the day based on what you eat, how you move, what you think about, who you interact with. Yet most people operate as if energy doesn't exist, as if they can push equally hard at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., as if every hour has the same potential. Here's the brutal truth. You have roughly 3 to 4 hours of peak mental energy per day. Not continuous, scattered, and if you don't know when those hours are, you'll waste them on low-value work and try to force high-value work during your mental valleys. The solution is energy tracking. For 1 week, rate your energy level every hour on a simple scale, 1 to 10. 1 means exhausted, foggy, can barely focus. 10 means sharp, clear, energized, ready to tackle anything. Do this without judgment, just observation. You're collecting data. By the end of the week, patterns will emerge. You'll see when you're naturally strongest, when you consistently crash, when you recover. Then you redesign your day around what you discovered, not around what you wish were true, around what actually is true about your energy rhythms. Most people discover they waste their highest energy on their lowest value tasks. They answer emails at 9 a.m. when they're sharpest. They save deep thinking for 4 p.m. when they're depleted. They structure their day based on convenience, not on energy optimization. High performers do the opposite. They ruthlessly protect high-energy windows for high-impact work. They push low-energy tasks to low-energy windows. They respect their biology instead of fighting it. Energy isn't just mental, it's physical, emotional, social. Different activities drain different energy reserves. A difficult conversation might leave you mentally exhausted, even if you didn't do physical work. A creative session might energize you, even though it took hours. Track all of it. What activities give energy back? What activities drain it? Who you meet with that leaves you feeling lighter? Who leaves you feeling heavier? What food makes you sharp? What food makes you sluggish? This information is power, because once you know what fuels you and what depletes you, you can start designing days that maximize fuel and minimize depletion. You can batch energy-draining tasks so you're not scattered throughout the day. You can follow hard work with recovery work instead of stacking hard on hard until you crash. Think about your phone battery. You don't wait until it's at 1% to charge it. You monitor it. You plug in before it dies. You manage it. Your energy deserves the same attention, more attention actually, because you can't buy a new battery for your brain. Most people only realize they're energy depleted after they've already crashed, after they've already made decisions from exhaustion, after they've already wasted their best hours. But tracking prevents that. It gives you early warning. It shows you the patterns before they become problems. When was the last time you made an important decision during a low-energy window and regretted it later? Starting today, track your energy for just 1 day. Every 2 hours, rate it. Notice what raises it. Notice what kills it. Then make one change. Protect one high-energy hour for important work, or eliminate one energy-draining activity that isn't necessary. Watch what shifts when you stop managing time and start managing the energy you bring to that time. Chapter 6. Build rituals that eliminate friction before it starts. Friction is the hidden enemy of productivity. Every extra step between you and your goal creates resistance. Every decision point creates delay. Every moment of uncertainty creates hesitation, and hesitation is where momentum dies. Most people don't fail because they lack motivation. They fail because there's too much friction between intention and action. They want to work out, but their gym clothes are in the laundry. They want to write, but they can't find their notebook. They want to focus, but they have to clear their desk first. Each of these is a tiny point of friction, and tiny friction compounds into massive inertia. By the time you've dealt with all the small obstacles, your motivation is gone, your energy is spent, and you default to the path of least resistance, which is almost never the path toward your goals. Smart people don't rely on motivation to overcome friction. They eliminate friction before it becomes a problem. They build rituals, automated sequences that happen the same way every time. No decisions required, no obstacles in the way, just smooth, frictionless action. A ritual is different from a routine. A routine is a list of things you do. A ritual is a sequence so practiced that it happens without thinking, like brushing your teeth. You don't decide whether to do it. You don't think about the steps. Your body runs the sequence automatically. That's what you want for your important work: automatic initiation. Zero friction between deciding to work and actually working. Think about athletes. They have pre-game rituals, the same warm-up, the same stretches, the same mental preparation, every time, not because they're superstitious, because rituals eliminate decision fatigue and create psychological momentum. By the time the game starts, they're already in the right mental state. The ritual put them there. You need the same thing for your work. A start ritual that moves you from rest mode to focus mode without friction. Mine is simple. Same chair, same time, same cup of tea, same 3 deep breaths, same first action. Open the document, read the last paragraph I wrote, continue. No decisions, no hesitation. The ritual pulls me into flow state before my brain has time to resist. And once I'm in, staying in is easy. Getting in is the hard part. The ritual solves that. Most people wake up and immediately face friction. They don't know what to work on first. They can't find what they need. They have to clean up yesterday's mess before they can start today's work. So they procrastinate. They scroll. They wait for motivation that never comes. But if you build a ritual that clears the path ahead of time, motivation isn't necessary. The ritual creates momentum, and momentum carries you forward. You're working before your brain realizes it should be resisting. End rituals matter too. How you finish work determines how easily you'll start tomorrow. If you end in chaos, you'll wake up to chaos. If you end with clear closure, you'll wake up to clarity. My end ritual: close all tabs, write one sentence about where to start tomorrow, clear the desk, shut down the computer. Takes 3 minutes, but it means tomorrow starts with zero friction. I sit down, and the next step is already obvious. Rituals work because they create certainty in an uncertain world. Your brain relaxes when it knows what's coming. It resists when it has to figure things out from scratch. Rituals remove the figuring out part. They make starting automatic. How much energy do you waste every day just trying to start? Just dealing with the friction between intention and action? Starting today, design one ritual. A start ritual for your most important work. 5 simple steps that always happen in the same order, same place, same time if possible, same opening action. Practice it for a week. Let it become automatic. And watch how much easier it becomes to begin when beginning is frictionless. Chapter 7. Measure progress in systems, not outcomes. Everyone measures productivity the wrong way. They count what they finished, what they completed, what they achieved, and when the results aren't immediate, they feel like failures, so they quit. But outcomes are lagging indicators. They show you what already happened, not what's happening now, not whether you're on the right path, just whether the path you were on months ago led somewhere visible. This creates a dangerous gap. You're working today, but you won't see the results for weeks or months, so you can't tell if what you're doing is actually working. You're flying blind, guessing, hoping, and hope is a terrible productivity strategy. The solution is measuring your systems instead of your outcomes. Systems are the daily actions that lead to results. The inputs, not the outputs. The process, not the prize. If your goal is to write a book, the outcome is the finished manuscript. But that's months away. You can't measure it daily. It will always feel far, always feel incomplete, always feel insufficient, and that feeling kills momentum. But you can measure your system. Write 500 words per day. That's measurable, that's achievable, that's within your control today. And if you hit your system goal every day for 6 months, the outcome takes care of itself. The book gets written, not because you focused on the book, because you focused on the system. This is the shift from outcome dependence to process confidence. You stop asking, am I there yet? You start asking, did I do the work today? And as long as the answer is yes, you're winning, even if the visible results haven't appeared yet. Think about health. You can't control whether you lose 10 pounds this week. That's an outcome. It depends on biology, stress, sleep, genetics, dozens of variables outside your control. But you can control whether you eat well and move your body today. That's a system, and if you trust the system, the outcome follows. Most people abandon systems because they don't see immediate outcomes. They work out for 2 weeks, don't see results, and quit. They study for a week, don't feel fluent, and give up. They create content for a month, don't gain followers, and stop. But systems don't work that way. Systems compound. Small actions repeated create large results over time, but only if you measure the actions, not the results. Only if you trust the process long enough for it to work. Your job is to define your system clearly. What are the daily actions that, if done consistently, will lead to your goal? Then measure only those actions. Did you do them? Yes or no? That's your scoreboard. Not did I get the promotion? Did I develop one new skill this week? Not did I build a successful business? Did I contact 5 potential clients today? Not am I fluent yet? Did I practice speaking for 20 minutes? The actions are within your control. The outcomes are not. So measure what you control, and let the outcomes be a byproduct, not the measurement. This also removes the emotional roller coaster. When you measure outcomes, you're happy when they're good and crushed when they're not. Your confidence swings wildly based on external results. But when you measure systems, you're steady. You know whether you showed up, whether you did the work, and showing up consistently is the only thing that ever produces extraordinary results. How much mental energy are you wasting, obsessing over outcomes you can't control today? Starting today, define your system for one goal. What are the 3 daily actions that will lead to the result you want? Write them down, then track only those actions. Did you do them? That's your win. Every day you complete your system is a successful day, regardless of whether the outcome has appeared yet. Trust the system, the outcome will come. That is how you take control of your time, not by doing more, by doing what matters with the energy it deserves. Protect your peak hours. Eliminate what drains you. Build systems you can trust. Time doesn't manage itself. But when you manage your energy, decisions and focus, time stops being the enemy. Start with one chapter, one change, now,